And now I would like to introduce Kari, if it's okay. So I see that Professor Taina Tukiainen is there. Taina has been part of these EU-level activities within the last couple of years, and there Roland Schatz is there as well, and so they bring a bit one of those burning issues, global challenges, to contribute. Why Otaniemi, why Espoo, why our collaboration is so crucial. So please join, tell a bit about sustainable development and why we are taking, meaning you as well, are taking a stronger global role in implementing the nice targets of United Nations and the others on sustainable development.
If I start, so pleasure to be here. I will speak in Finnish because we have a special guest, Roland Schatz. He will speak in English about the sustainable development and SDGs and actually our great thing actually, so that we actually Espoo, Aalto-University hold this Espoo Innovation Garden. You has been selected one of the forerunners in the globe. Vaihdan nyt puhun suomeksi tästä kestävästä kehityksestä. Roland kertoo sitten englanniksi. Eli me ollaan todella iloisia täällä Espoossa ja Aallossa, että meidät on valittu tähän 25 kaupungin joukkoon kertomaan, että mitä me on tehty pitkällä aikajänteellä kestävän kehityksen alueella täällä Espoossa ja Suomessa. Ja sitten nyt niin kuin tämä kestävä kehitys on aivan loistava asia, että tämä on saanut erittäin vahvan panoksen myöskin yritysmaailmassa. Ja oikeastaan ihan kaikki ovat lähteneet tämän pitkäjänteisen kestävän ajattelun taakse. Tämähän on semmoinen, mikä rakentaa sitten tulevaisuutta paitsi meille, niin meidän lapsille ja tuleville sukupolville. Ja on erittäin tärkeä. Mä oon professorina, työelämäprofessorina tuolla business-koulussa Aallossa. Ja mun alue on yrittäjyys, yritykset ja innovaatiot. Ja siellä, jos missä, tämä tematiikka on erittäin keskeinen, että kuinka me rakennetaan kestävää liiketoimintaa, mutta myöskin tehdään kannattavaa liiketoimintaa ja pitkälle tulevaisuuteen. Tämä on hirveän laaja tämä alue. Nämä 17 kestävän kehityksen tavoitetta. Ja sehän tarkoittaa sitä, että ne tavoitteet saavutetaan vain ja ainoastaan, jos me kaikki tehdään niitä tekoja siinä ihan normaali tavallisessa elämässä niiden tavoitteiden saavuttamiseksi. Niin tasa-arvon kuin koulutuksen kuin innovaation kuin kestävän kehityksen, kiertotalouden ja niin edelleen. Eli nämä tavoitteet on niin laajoja, että voidaan sanoa, että jokainen voi kontribuoida ja myöskin ottaa muita mukaan tekemiseen. No sitten jos me mietitään Suomea, niin todellakin ja Espoota, niin meillähän on pitkä historia tässä kestävän kehityksen taustalla. Voidaan ajatella, että koko kaupunki on rakennettu ja kestävän kehityksen periaatteita noudattaen. Me ollaan vähän tämmöinen kylämäinen verkostokaupunki, joka sitten tietysti perustuu siihen, että meillä on yhä kansainvälisempi yhteisö. Me ollaan todella kansainvälisiä. Suomessa nyt katsotaan, niin mehän ollaan nuori kaupunki, joka on kansainvälinen ja on hyvin verkostoitunut Eurooppaan ja koko maailmaan. Oikeastaan Tämä on ehkä nyt tässä näin, että mitä tässä ehkä tästä haluaisin sanoa ja haluaisin antaa tilaan tuolle Rolandille kertoa, jos teillä on kysymyksiä nyt tai kohta myöhemmin, niin todella mielelläni niin kuin vastaan. Now I think so that I just said that actually I want to give the floor to Roland Schatz to introduce our initiative and please feel free if you have any questions, comments in Finnish or English, please ask anytime. Okei. No ehkäpä jokunen kysymys suomeksi tai englanniksi tai joku kommentti. Tai miten te aiotte tai teette niin kuin tämän kestävän kehityksen alueella tai näiden tavoitteiden alueella töitä? Joo.
Aikooko Roland sitten selittää, mikä tämä on, tämä 25 kaupunkia?
Yes. Yes. Roland will explain the whole initiative and these 25 cities. Actually, I was pretty general, so I did not explain it anything because I wanted you to talk. I just said in Finnish that we are very happy to be part of, that everybody actually can contribute and being on those lines of thought. Thank you for the question.
Okay, hello. How many of you know about the Millennium Development Goals, or MDGs? That's amazing. You're not the average of the world, but I learned already that Espoo is a knowledge city, so I'm not super surprised. How many of you are aware of the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals? Very good. My name is Roland Schatz. I'm fifth generation journalist. I don't have blood in my veins, I have ink. And I really love my profession because I know that information, knowing something, has a special value. And as my grandfather was one of the first in January 1933 who was told by the Nazis that he can no longer act as a journalist, in my family we know as well that it can come with a certain price when you live for solid information. Fast forward, when I was a little older, I decided that I should study economics because I spent my youth as a piano player. I wanted to become a concert pianist. So I studied economics in Switzerland, and at that time the wall was still existing between East and West Germany. My best friends were living in Leipzig, and my main aim was that whatever I wrote and what I published, I would love to share with my friends in Leipzig, which was not possible because you were not allowed to bring even one little book from the West to the East. You could end in jail or worse things would happen. I was lucky to be part of the group getting the wall down, and the night the wall came down, I was in East Berlin. And you can imagine that this creates a footprint, not only on your head, but more important, on your heart. Helmut Kohl asked me whether I could set up a research institute trying to understand better why people change and what is necessary to make change happen. So I set up a company called Media Tenor by not polling people, because polling is always a result from last week, which you are now looking this week, and you try to make up your mind, what does that mean? That 43% of the Finns like good food and 52% not, or the other way around. Polls are history, and Helmut Kohl wanted to understand, are there data available that I understand as a politician who is now in charge of all Germans, 16 million additional voters? What would they be interested in? And after 50 years of communism, would they even consider voting for a conservative politician? So I set up Media Tenor, and we grew this company, and after a while I was asked by Kofi Annan whether I could help them change the perception of the United Nations. Because back then, the only impression people had from the United Nations was they are not getting their act together in Rwanda. In Iraq, there's corruption going on, and basically it's a useless entity. And yes, they are doing a lot of mistakes, like every human being is doing a lot of mistakes. But if you get reduced to your shortcomings, first of all, people no longer get excited, people no longer get engaged, and what the United Nations job is has to be done. We need to vaccinate little children in regions where our doctors don't want to go to. We need to educate, we need to make sure that people have access to water, have access to education. This still remains as a big task. So Kofi Annan created in the late 90s these so-called Millennium Development Goals, knowing that the United Nations itself has no power. If Kofi Annan in New York declares we need to fight poverty, your government in Finland says, nice to hear, but you know, I'm a Finn and I decide what happens in Finland. You are in New York, you don't tell me anything. And this is not a special attitude by Finnish politicians. They share this with the Germans and they share this with every other nation. We don't want that people from outside tell us what we have to do. But it was an amazing start going and defining 15 different goals which should be achieved by 2015. They were not achieved all, but the direction was amazing. So then the Finnish government came along with other governments and said, what are we going to do after 2015? Are we then continue as it was in the 80s, last century, or are we going to do something else? And all these governments got together, debated for 6 years, and at the end of this palaver of 6 years, they came up in 25th September 2015 and said, we have 17 goals, and these goals have to be implemented not sometime, inshallah, or in 2100, no, in 2030. And your Prime Minister stood up at the General Assembly in New York, as well as the Chinese President, as well as Mr. Putin. 193 heads of states stood up, and by doing this, you know, this takes energy. This is meaningful. And by all these 193 heads of states standing up and declaring we are in, something happened what never happened before in mankind. Muslims agreed with Catholics, with Protestants, with non-believers on the same goals. Representatives from democracies agreed with dictators on the same goals. Gender equality in Germany by 2030. What a joke. But Angela Merkel stood up, and by having Angela Merkel standing up, she now made it my goal, as I have a German passport, that I have to make that happen. And as I'm the senior advisor to the Director General of the UN, I said we need to do 3 things. First of all, we need to start by holding the corporate world accountable, because they are the ones with the cash. We did that, we created an index, and if you would put your money into our fund, you would be richer by 27% and 63%, because that was the result of our fund trading on SDG and the behavior of corporates in the world stock-listed companies. What a surprise. Second step is we took these results and turned them into a school program. So now 3 million children in 72 countries learn about why is Facebook red, why is Apple red, so you shouldn't be invested in a red company, because red means these companies give no information legally binding on education, water, or any of these 17 SDGs. There's Volvo, which is green, so you can be invested in Volvo, etc., etc. And then the third step, and that brings me to Espoo. And honestly, I was not aware that Espoo was existing. And I'm 53 years ago. I'm 53 years old, and it took 3 months ago that I learned about Espoo. Is this my problem or is this your problem? Let's talk about that. The main point is we said we will never ever get on the fast track to implement zero poverty, education to everybody, health for everybody. All these 17 amazing goals, we will never ever reach them by 2030 if we don't start having first movers, innovative cities who are walking their talk. And that is why Espoo was selected next to Cambridge, Heidelberg, Palo Alto and Noida in India to be the first who are going to implement all 17 SDGs already by 2025. How cool is this? You will be all alive by seeing how these 17 SDGs will become a reality for you, for your children, for your grandchildren, and you will see people coming from other cities because they are going to watch you. Why are they going to watch you? Because I organize a televised competition. Everybody in the world will watch Espoo competing with Heidelberg, LA competing against Hangzhou, cities competing about let's find the best solution on waste because there shouldn't be any longer waste. Let's find best solutions on energy. Let's find best solution on all these 17 SDGs, and we will watch you. And you know why we want to watch you? Because I want my grandma that she picks up the phone and she calls her mayor in Bielefeld and say, what the heck is going on? Why are the people in Heidelberg able to do that? Where are we in Bielefeld? So the program is about to start. The program brings money to the city. The program brings the best experts on each of these 17 SDG goals. Not guys who are just talking, but people who have implemented in their area of the 17 SDGs these goals already for the last 10 years, 20 years, without even knowing that it's called SDG 1 or SDG 16. But they are doing it. So you will meet a lot of great people from around the world who are working together with you, with your mayor, with your different institutions to make that happen. I have to stop, but I promise I'll be back. Thank you.
Thank you, Roland. I think we have great challenges here. Less than 10 years, and we are
Yeah,
done.
you have 7 years
Yeah,
as of now.
it's true.